BenFlyingRetro, and I'm embarking on a quest to purchase every classic GI Joe comic from the original 80s and 90s Marvel run.
Warning.
Hunting down individual issues from every corner of the globe in whatever order the universe decides to give me. Join me and my pal Steve every week as we discuss my latest find. Welcome to Chasing Joe. Chasing Joe. Hello and welcome to a man's quest to track down all 155 issues of Marvel's GI Joe, a real American hero. I welcome you, the viewer, to hop on this caravan of courage, this pit of passion with me, BenFlyingRetro, and my good buddy
S-Jub7-8er.
Welcome to episode 19 of Chasing Joe.
Oh yeah. Ben, you're
How
wearing
we
a
doing?
sweater. Do you have your sleeves unleashed?
Do you
Have
think
you
I
got
look a
your
little
wraps
bit
off?
like Freddy Krueger in this?
I was going to go with Where's Wally, but that's the wrong stripage. Yes, you do look like Freddy Krueger. With the Karate Kid mixed in, you know, you got your
You know when
bandana
he's coming
on.
down the alleyway and his arms go like...
I try to
That
forget.
is it's practical, baby.
Gorgeous. So,
Yeah.
has the ink dried?
Yeah, I got dry ink. Gonk.
Lovely.
Gonk. Oh, someone told me what VHS meant. Oh, I've forgotten. Damn it.
And that will be the story of him. He's got ink that he don't know what means. Oh man. Joust. Extra life. Is that's the coin, yeah?
That's the one
That's
you don't
from-
like, S-Jubs.
Somewhat controversial. People have weighed in on both sides of the Ready Player One battle. They're like, it's garbage, it's fan service, it's vacuous. And some have been like, no, the book is really, really good. You will love it. Give it a
I
try.
think the book is good for people that don't read many books, like myself.
Lovely.
I think
Me too.
anyone who's into book, like he's probably not the best writer, but I had a good time with that book.
That's a
I
fair
also had
concession,
good
Ben. That's
Time.
probably where my criticisms come from. That's why people say it's no good. Oh, what the hell are you doing, dude?
I'm drinking. It's Friday night. I got champagne,
Of course it is.
and now Emma keeps buying these like single-serving champagnes, and it's not a traditional cork. How do I
Must
open
be
that?
nice. You
Oh.
twist as hard as you bloody can.
Is it going to pop or?
Should do.
No. Okay.
Oh,
No pop.
God, it's a screw top champagne. I was about to say you're so classy, but
Yeah.
I think I rescind that.
She went on a champagne tour, and she's like all anti prosecco now, so she won't stop. She's like, we've got to
Lord,
stop making champagne an occasion. So it's like, okay.
Champagne as your arbitrary nightcap. Lovely. Ballin'. Is it champagne or is it sparkling wine?
No, that's what I'm saying. She's obsessed with champagne. This is champagne.
Jesus.
Good stuff.
Okay.
It
Well, I
is
suppose
good
when-
stuff.
France is just across the channel. It's slightly less premium. You could find it in Sainsbury's.
Our confusion last episode with French bangers is joyous to behold. You must have thought you were talking to a crazed man. Like, is he talking
Okay, so it
about
only makes
sausages?
sense now because, well, buddy, I thought you really love your sausages that you
I do.
cross the channel just to get those. So no, okay, you're smuggling fireworks into the UK because the UK
Yes.
has banned firecrackers. Got you. Okay.
God, that makes it sound like, I suppose that's what we were doing.
Contraband, dude. You're going into Mexico to get
Smuggling.
the real shit.
Yeah, I guess that's what we were doing. Jeez, never thought of it like that. It's not that fireworks were necessarily banned, but yeah, you couldn't buy bangers in the UK. And you thought I was talking about... I don't even know how you... Yeah, wow. You thought I was
mate-
strapping sausages to my Joe figures.
I thought you were hungry. Somehow, French bangers came to mind. Listen, this is all Greek to anyone who hasn't been listening to us or watching us in succession. Go back and check the tapes. Issue 18, episode 18. Yeah, we get into some confusion about a French banger.
Look at this.
But Ben has
Wait.
a package.
Can you see the...
The
Can that
address, I hope
focus?
not.
Can
It's
you
focused
see?
enough. I'll make you
It says,
big.
it says Ben chasing Joe Martin.
You're kidding.
What does that mean? Well, I can tell you what it means. This has got a little bit of an interesting story behind this purchase. For no reason at all, I saw this issue on eBay, and it was at a good price, and I couldn't bid on it. And it just, every 7 days, it would just lapse and then get reposted. And I was like, no one's bidding on this book. And when I clicked bid, it was as if I'd been blocked, and that's not possible because I've got very good eBay etiquette. So I called up my good buddy Chief, and I was like, dude, can you see if you can bid on this book for me? And it just worked. So the book went to him, then he posted it to me. Let's open it up.
That's very strange.
It was for a good price because this was, it's very strange. I don't know.
Gremlins. He slipped it out. Ooh.
We have got issue 145, December 1993. February cover date. eBay purchase. What do you think I paid?
You said a very good price. Late run, so it might be getting up there. But since you have tipped your hand a little bit, I'm going to put it at $7.
£4.99. So
about
brings
the same ballpark.
Yeah, I guess. So episode 19 running total is £89.98, $110, including 5 donations. I'm doing well. I'm doing good.
Very well. That curve has started to plateau.
Right, let's do smell test.
It looks pretty pristine.
Dude, it is minty fresh. Wow.
Nobody wants to read that late into the run.
I do. I really do. It smells peaty. You know, like whiskey peaty.
For sure. I would know well. The last episode of GI Joburg, we were pretty peatied out.
Well, that's how I like my whiskey. I like it to taste like I'm chewing on a bonfire.
Ash.
Yeah, that's how I like it. Like super peaty. Just taste the dung. Let's oh, I tell you what, man, the condition of this book.
It's far better than mine, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, yes, I love it when you have it.
Well, I'm in my childhood room currently, and the comic books are all just up there. This one did get water damage, so it's kind of wavy.
Yeah, it looks thick.
It is thick. It's much
swollen. Well, no, you got yourself a swollen book. Yeah, Boosh is in here, guys.
Know about.
You can get him. Yeah. Can you just hold him up to the camera? Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, Boosh is going to make a surprise appearance. Hello, Emma.
Look at that thing. What is that? Oh,
it's a furball on legs.
It is. That's what it is. Now, 145. We're getting up there now. Yato. Unreal. I think that's all she says.
Yeah. Leia didn't really bone up on her whatever dialect that was.
What a great... I need to know if that is a... Who designed that, man? The look of that thing. Whew.
Oh.
Right.
I thought you were about to say who designed the dialect. It's probably Ben Burt's, but that's another question altogether. Yes!
X-Men.
Same... Do we have newsstand edition? Yes, I do.
Yeah, you know I do.
Gorge.
Because that's what I'm all about now. It turns out I'm a massive newsstand guy.
You're going to be trading out all those, what are they called?
So this isn't our first Snake Eyes on the cover book. Look how small GI Joe is up there. It barely makes the digital version.
Ooh, to that.
It's almost clipped off. They were trying everything. Yeah, not sure how I feel about that, but what else have we got? 95p, $1.25. What a bargain. hooded Cobra Commander. Is that a massive sword as well? He's got there.
Yeah, look, this is a different look to what we're accustomed to.
Shoulder ruffles.
He didn't have this figure, strictly speaking. He didn't look this way in the plastic.
No,
Which
well,
is
he's a bit more
strange.
regaled up there.
Yeah, they did a black costume around about this time. In fact, the year after, 1994, he was in black. Sort of hooded version with silver accents, but in black. It's cool. It's a good look.
Yeah, but I want to see more of that sword. I kind of like the idea of Cobra Commander with a big sword.
Snake hilt.
Yeah.
Or pommel, this sort of snake pommel on the bottom of the sword.
Yeah, and he's got a lovely... I don't know what that is. He's obviously wearing some kind of a bum bag. He's got like a nice buckle going across the torso. Mm-hmm. Don't know what it actually is. Interesting. In this issue, Cobra Commander wins. So are we saying that he's lost for 145 issues?
Big
Maybe
shock.
we are.
I guess. Who are these other guys assorted around him? We know Dr. Mindbender, but there's this goatee-wearing fella.
Yep, and also, what helicopters are those?
Things are getting a little bit loose in the art chores here.
Who's the artist on the cover?
I think it's the interior artist, Phil Gauzier.
Now look, a few people have told me, very close to me on the inside, people weren't too hot on this guy. A bit too cartoonish for some people, but boy, am I disagreeing from this issue.
Oh, what a delight. Okay, good. Well, expand upon that. You're a fan?
Just the sheer vibrancy of this issue and how kind of larger than life the characters are. They're drawn big. The colors are bright. I mean, it is full 90s. We are right in it for sure. But let's just start with this opening page. Threads and resolutions. Fantastic opening page, but my eyes were drawn to the left. And if you find yourself in 1993, get yourself to Pizza Hut because they're shifting X-Men video packs.
Oh, man. Show us.
I
Ben.
mean, look at that. Lovely tie-in. I mean, X-Men was really starting to do its thing again in the 90s, I guess helped by the cartoon. That must have been around this time.
For sure. It's the biggest book. And
Video
cartoon.
games all over the place. They advertised this Pizza Hut thing about 3 times in this issue. It's wild. Look, as Cobra Commander says, it's a wholesale slaughter, S-Jubs. It's just a wholesale slaughter. Some fantastic dialogue. This issue has got, like, every 3 pages, we hop to a whole different crew of people. There's so many characters in this issue. I had a great time with it. You want to do synopsis? Can you do a synopsis? It's
Gosh,
tough.
I read this late 2 days ago. Let me try and freestyle. So, in the war-torn nation of Borgia Krasny Marengo, which used to be Barovia, Cobra Commander's taken it back. He's taken it back with detonators and Cobra helicopters. He has Magda and the White Clown, who were the leaders of this fallen nation, very summarily executed. He's installing a puppet regime. He's doing all the bad things. But what he really wants to do is to take some revenge on Destro and Zartan across the border in Transcarpathia. And he can do it because Dr. Mindbender apparently implanted some post-hypnotic suggestion in their minds to control them by just showing them his face. Cobra Commander, all he has to do is yank off his mask, and Zartan and Destro will be in his thrall. Meanwhile, the Joes are planning a mission to the moon. Star Brigade is rolling out the desert. The Defiant launch complex is being set up. Stalker and Rock and Roll are visiting Arlington, paying their respects to all the fallen Joes. And in the High Sierras, Snake Eyes and Scarlets are enjoying some much-needed R&R. Did I get it all?
Ninja Force.
So, oh, the Ninja Force. Yes, they're setting up in the Softmasters' old digs. Comidas y Chinas, I think it is.
You would never believe all of that is happening in one issue. That's a lot
anyways, they get
to
jumped by
squeeze
some
in.
thugs, and they teach those thugs a lesson. Guns do not matter to the Ninja Force. No.
That was a great synopsis, S-Jub. Now, I've challenged myself for this week that I'm going to try and squeeze in wholesale slaughter to regular conversation at the coffee shop, because that seemed to resonate with me. I thought that was really funny. Now, did we... I think what you forgot to mention there was the court scene. We even get courtroom drama.
Oh, Lord. Yes, a one-page resolution to... And this was a thread that they're picking up on from back in the 90s, or the 90s of the run.
Look at them grinning Joes.
Mutt and Spirit being hauled in front of the judges because of the Millville incident. An entire town of zombified, like, cobra plants, basically. And they kind of went to war with this town and were arrested off the back of that. So
I've got here in my notes, S-Jubs. I really enjoy the look of the kind of 90s Desert Storm Duke.
Oh, right. Okay. Cool.
I quite like that, but is that replicated in a fig?
It most certainly is. I can
call
them up
with the helmet?
So the helmet is non-removable, sadly. But they definitely did have a very Desert Storm-esque Duke.
Yeah, the way he just looks like one of the men, you know?
You like that? Look. Do you like Duke not having his own flavor?
Yes, right. I quite like it for this book.
I think without having a removable helmet, he's robbed of a bit of character. He does look like just a grunt.
It's not quite how I want it to look, really. Yeah, it's not really the right style of camo, is it? They got the colours wrong. I feel like he looks better on the page.
I think it was a cost implication because on the card art, it most certainly is that chalk chip 1990s Gulf War. It's the brown camo splotches with the white and black little details.
Wow, I'm not familiar with that figure at all.
You wouldn't be released in the UK at all, I don't think.
Right.
I could be wrong about that. I'm not entirely sure about EU releases. Do
you want to peruse the graveyard scenes?
Boy, do I ever.
Some
ghoulish.
Yeah, this is like a book of vignettes. Just every couple of pages you get different scenes, different characters. I thought this was drawn really nice, beautiful colours. And this kind of celestial sky, this kind of, they're talking about some deep stuff, and then we just leave them with this beautiful shot of the graveyard and the sun and clouds and just them reflecting on the fallen Joes. And also
some cosmic coincidence. Yep. Last episode, we were at General Flag's burial, his funeral service, his sort of, official state burial, and here we are revisiting his gravestone. Some 120 issues later,
like 9 years later,
astounding.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. This is kind of what I'm talking about with the art style. Do you know what I mean about they're big,
Look, when it
man.
hits, it really hits. You said the celestial sunset. I'm going to call attention to what I think the bulk of the issues... Phil Gozier spent a lot of time doing the Star Brigade. They look so 90s badass.
Yeah,
because
they do.
They lend themselves to that. Straps everywhere, grenades everywhere, oversized guns, helmets with massive teched out details. We got Roadblock, we got Sci-Fi, we got Payload, and we got Space Shot. In the back, Star Brigade Duke. These boys are looking fantastic.
Dude, I am all in from that point of view.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't be more in reading this issue and then seeing that. Although back in the 90s when those Star Brigade issues were coming out, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
But everyone's going into space.
Can you blame GI Joe for wanting to stay with the trends? I mean, who was the biggest sort of breakout
Not at
character in the biggest comic book series? I'd argue in the 90s it was Cable. And these guys are absolutely aping Cable's look. They're doing that Liefeld thing. They are just padding up, shoulder padding up, arming up. The guns don't look like anything on Earth. And this must have been something that irked Larry ever so slightly. Because quite famously, Larry Hama is the kind of guy who loves the details, will supply endless amounts of reference material for his artists so that they can get it right. He gets handed an artist like Phil Gauzier, and all of a sudden, it's like, what are you supposed to do? The guy's never going to draw a gun that looks like it belongs on this planet. So I guess you just got to grin and bear it. And this is the guy who finishes out the G.I. Joe run.
Do you think that he just received a note on his desk and it was, get your ass to Mars? you got to get the Joes to space, dude. I don't care how you do it, but that's where we want you to go.
Got to push these toys. Well, there's so much massaging to fit in this issue. You'll notice, like, when Cobra Commander's taking over this city, he's not rolling his tanks through because there weren't no his tanks on toy shelves. He's got detonators. What is a detonator? A detonator is like Cobra's answer to the Rolling Thunder. It's this massive ICBM launcher. It is not a frontline tank. But
What's
in these
the
issues,
grill? Kind of.
it's sort of spiked. I can call up some detonator action right now. Thank you, 3D Joes, for supplying the images.
Do it.
But I mean, I suppose you've never in your life seen a detonator.
No.
Okay. Well,
Wow.
neither have I. Only in the pages of G.I. Joe have I seen the detonator. I've never seen this toy in real life, but thanks to the internet, we now can pore over images of this behemoth. It is big. It is purple-blue. It has
What's that, a
6 massive
Nitro
wheels.
Viper?
Nitro Viper is the included driver, who, strangely enough, had no file card.
Oh, I don't
A
like
driver with no
that.
file card.
How we...
It gets worse. So it is
we've got
designed
foam.
around
Yeah.
the feature of firing massive foam missiles.
Crikey, it's like a Nerf gun. Okay.
Now you're getting somewhere. But
Yeah.
you can see that the bumper is this gargantuan, like, Mad Max affair.
It looks more like a
Spikes
Turtles
everywhere.
toy.
You're not wrong there, Ben. That's exactly what G.I. Joe was competing with us at this time. So, yeah, if the influences are quite apparent, you know why.
But when I look at this book now, it's so funny when you're in the 90s, you're not aware of the decade and how I remember everyone saying that, you know, this is bland, we're never going to remember this decade. And I'm just flicking through this and it's like, wow, the 90s was cool. It was fun. It was bright. It was big. It was bold. I think, do you want to get up the shot of Zorana on the bike? Because that's kind of like, he's channeling his style there fully. And yeah, it's not very G.I. Joe, but I don't know. It's a refreshing sort of take. And bouncing around these books like the way that we do, it's so cool, just all these different art styles. And
Gosh, I wonder how many issues we had not seen the Dreadnoks before this little 2-page, hey there, remember these guys?
Yeah, look at
Larry
Zanzibar
certainly
as
does.
well. Wow.
Well, I guess because they stopped making Dreadnoks toys, he stopped being able to tell stories with them. But he still has a soft spot for these characters that he created and breathed so much life into. So...
Oh, also, Dreadnought, can we just that Zartan man with the mohawk, my God, I love it. I love it now. I love it now, and I didn't, but I've changed. I think it's so great. It's awesome. That is a badass look.
He finally looks like a Dreadnought leader. You could finally make that connection visually. Whereas
Good toy, good
previously
fig.
Hampered by a feature. He doesn't have standard articulation because his waist is on a kind of a pull it one way and it snaps back the other.
Oh, a la like Ninja Force.
A la He-Man,
So it's like
actually.
block hip type thing.
No, fortunately he avoided having the T-crotch. The dreaded T-crotch.
The
But
dreaded.
because he's got that swivel, I don't know how you'd likely take him apart. I don't know if, what his innards are like. Like, will those legs grow wobbly and loose? Like, yeah, his construction is a mystery to me.
He's really cut up there, isn't he? He's stacked up and jacked up. That's a different Zartan. I mean, he's like channeling such a different vibe. I mean,
Zartan
I guess
of the 90s.
when you're doing a new take on a figure, like how far do you want to go? Are you aiming to go, like, let's do something new, but then you've got to stay true to the sort of character that you've set up? It's an opportunity to go somewhere different, isn't it? I guess why not have a punt? I mean, he is the only other Zartan fig.
They were struggling to find Cobra named characters that they could pump into their Ninja Force line.
Mm-hmm.
And so Zartan, because he had that Arashikage connection, maybe. I mean, I'd like to think that the toy designers had that kind of awareness that there was a tenuous connection between Zartan and ninjery stuff. And he certainly is established as a bowman. And to its credit, this is the first action figure that supplied Zartan with a bow. Even if it was a weaponry sprue bow.
I guess here's something that oh, wow. Okay.
Is it still all your hopes and dreams asked for, Ben, this version of Zartan?
It's
lime green pants.
It's a bit too basic. I think he needs some
more detail.
Oh,
you could get in there with the jacket and give it some like silver chainmail on the pauldron.
Give some, get some dry brushing on those pants.
Because of the action feature, his chest is a bit too blocky. Like he looks really boxy. Like
the mohawk's fantastic though.
It's pretty badass. And the face paint, doing it up in red, gives him some new aesthetics to play with.
Yeah. Now, look, talking about the art, here's what I'm not into. It feels so bland, is when they make choices like this for the punch-ins, where you just get these single kind of color backgrounds. That feels very 90s, and I'm just not into it.
2 weeks ago when we did issue 50, you quite liked the limitations.
Yeah, but that's not this. That was like a choice made. This is just so generic, cut and paste.
Right.
I just don't think multiple boxes looking like that. It's very, I don't know.
Okay.
It's not. Well, how do you feel?
I think that's comic book shorthand that I learned to just block out. That's just white noise.
Yeah, it's not very GI Joe at all.
Sometimes you have a background fully picked out. Sometimes the artist is under a time crunch and it's like assumed that that's what the background is. So the colorist just does his best. And look, at least it has this kind of ombre. Have you noticed it fades?
Look how big the sprites are, though, man. It's like video game stuff. It's just popping.
Sprites.
It's sprites. When I saw that page, I was like, oh, it looks like Final Fight, like a big game sprite.
Oh, the dot gain, the way the old printing process worked. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's glorious, man.
It's a vibrant book.
Ben, how can you like the aesthetics of old school without embracing this for all that it is.
No,
You
but what I'm saying
want to
is,
see those dots, man.
I'm glad that if a whole comic looked like this, yeah, it would feel kind of like early readers or something that you'd get at the new. I don't know. I'm just saying that is too Billy Basic for me.
Right.
But the whole book isn't like that. So I'm just saying it. If you have whole pages that look like that, I just check out because I'm missing detail and environment and scene setting and.
Well, in an issue like this, you can clearly see where the major efforts were being made by the artist.
Yeah,
Getting this character out of Destro and Zartan as Cobra Commander waltzes up, yanks off his mask and says, "Ta-da!"
he loves a ponytail.
Theatrical. Yeah.
Look, I mean, he needs to hope that what he's been fed by Mindbender is true. Otherwise, what is he doing? He's just waltzed in and he's like waiting for something to happen? Or
Jeez.
yeah.
Just giving the
Oh, and
game
Billy
away.
rocks up. Billy rocks up at the castle.
Oh my god, way too much happened in this to
It's
accurately
honestly,
synopsize.
it's actually crazy how much is in this. It's just from a character point of view. Wow. Look, he picks him up like he's a young ragamuffin, just kind of like, yeah,
Well,
my
we're still in the
boy.
era of playing Destro as an absolute tank.
Yeah.
Gosh, Ben, what else can we talk about? I've spoken about the detonator, and Duke and Zartan. I feel like I've shot my bolt here.
Well, no, I mean, I think we haven't touched on the. God, there's so much in this book. Let's talk about
Take it away, boy.
let's talk about the Defiant. There's some beautiful panels here of
Over
this.
my right shoulder, there is a Defiant. My goodness. Maybe one of
Oh,
these
wow.
nights I'll yank it out.
Well, look here. They're in Utah, and they are launching the Defiant on this beautiful mechanized launch module thing. It's exciting.
Well, that is the Defiant. That is the launch complex. It is a gantry and booster and shuttle combined toy. The art is not accurate in its presentation, but I'm not opposed to that. It's an interesting riff on how it looks like Phil has seen a Defiant in a catalog somewhere, seen what it can do, kind of gotten the basic furniture of it in mind, and then sketched it off by heart. He's not basing this on anything slavishly, and I like that. That's fine. It matches the aesthetic of everything that he's done in this book.
Yeah, I like how it kind of makes you kind of think of the Apollo shuttles, but it's tweaked and sort of, it looks amazing. But then that launches, and then on the next page, oh, look who's watching it launch. It's Snake Eyes and Scarlet. Some beautifully drawn shots of these guys in the woods. It's almost unfathomable how much is in this issue. I suppose...
Snake Eyes is carving a little wood statuette of what looks like a Native American chief.
And why wouldn't he be?
I mean, we made our own toys back in my day.
It's the lovely, his face in the shadows, timber
Yeah, he's the one
howling.
facing the fire, and yet his face is always shrouded in shadow.
These
Oh, well,
beautiful deep blues in the background, and he's blue as well. It's awesome. Yeah. God, what else is there to say, Jubs? I mean, dude, look, this stuff is like Final Fight, by the way.
Oh, right.
It totally is. It's just like thugs and that's a sideways scrolling game that I want to play. You start the game, you choose your Ninja Force member, and you just get to beat up guys with headphones and hand cannons.
I was just thinking of Final Fight today because I drove past the corner cafe that had that cabinet.
I completed
outside.
it. Completed
Oh,
it
brilliant.
in November in an arcade in Croydon. It was free play. I mean, if I actually worked out how many credits, I reckon it would have come to about 100 quid.
Yes.
I mean, there's some things that ain't going to fly today. The big bad boss is in a bloody wheelchair. Mm-hmm. You chuck him out like the window. It's crazy. Who was your guy? I bet you were a Hagar guy, the mayor.
Absolutely, Hagar.
I knew it.
Yeah,
I knew you'd be the bruiser.
Double kick, my goodness. Can't
God,
beat
were
that.
you always the heavy in like?
And I think he had the same birth year as my father. I think he was born in 1944. I loved watching these sort of attract screens that have the character bios.
Studying those. Yeah, you used to get them with like Turtles and The Simpsons, where they'd cut and give you a few stats.
Watch that shit endlessly because I don't know. I felt too sheepish to keep asking my parents for money to just pump into a video game experience that would last all of about 60 seconds.
Yes. Now,
even at a tender young age, I could not. I mean, the economics of that were not lost on me. I was like, this is not a way to spend money. No,
like when you played Street Fighter 2, were you Zangief?
What?
Are you just the heavy?
I think my time with Street Fighter 2 wasn't very long because I didn't have any kind of game guide. Like, I just got my ass kicked so many times so quickly that I quickly lost interest. But the very first character I played as was Ken because my dad's name is Ken and he was the one paying for it. He was like, hey, that's me. I was like, okay, Dad, I'll suck up just this once. These other guys look way cooler, but okay.
So your issue of this book, S-Jubs, is a childhood issue, yes? Not delivered from this mysterious G.I. Joe comic fairy that you seem to have roaming around Cape Town.
Kind of both. I had this issue as a child. I lost this issue as a child. And then the Christmas fairy, this particular copy, the Christmas fairy supplied.
It must be nice. It must be nice. Have you ordered any more comics from this run recently? Are you still out there hustling?
There is a motherload that's sitting with my buddy Matt in Brisbane.
A motherload?
Cheap as books, man. I mean, it's the same thing with your whatnot deals. Like, anything that's not very fine condition, the guys will just price it down to like $3 or $4. Standard.
Right. So you bought a whole nother batch.
Because I'm not a stickler for condition, man. I'm just like, I'm cleaning up.
No, you don't care if the freaking spine's bent, if there's pages falling out.
It doesn't hamper my enjoyment of these issues and my enjoyment of having a... Because there's so much more to this than just what's on the GI Joe page. You know, every single episode of Chasing Joe, you've made mention of the commercials. You know?
Yeah, they're ramming Pizza Hut right down your mouth. But let me ask you some more questions.
Goggling it down.
Let me ask you some more pointed questions about Star Brigade. So this is their debut in this issue. Now, this book's, isn't it?
Couldn't tell you. Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, with a team shot like that,
I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, their logo's not on the cover, but I mean, there's a couple of covers coming up where, you know, you got your Star Brigade logo and it's like, okay, here we go again. They're doing this. How did they sit with you? Did you have the figs? Are you happy with the lineup?
Ben, my man, I was playing Star Brigade before Star Brigade existed because any character that had a fully enclosed helmet could be used in a science fiction setting for me. We were kids raised on Star Wars, but I didn't want to play with that 5POA crap when I was hooked on GI Joe. I wanted astronaut figures. I wanted all of them. I wanted them to do space missions. As I say, long before Star Brigade arrived, and when Star Brigade did arrive, yeah, man, I was heavy into it. Absolutely.
So we got Roadblock, Sci-Fi, Payload, Space Shot, and then even Duke with another variant of his Star Brigade
in the same issue. How often does a character wear two alternate looks, which both had action figures?
I mean, out of all of them, Roadblock is the sort of the showstopper there with his get-up. I mean, he's ready for a spacewalk right there.
Might be a reason for that. The Star Brigade guys at this point were, apart from Space Shot, they were all redecos of previous characters. But with the exception being, okay, let me qualify. Sci-fi in this version, it's kind of sci-fi, the Starfighter pilot, but with sci-fi, the single-carded colors. So that's not strictly speaking an action figure. Payload was Eco Warriors Barbecue, but Roadblock wasn't a previous Roadblock at all. Roadblock was General Hawk in his jetpack version.
Okay.
They just popped a different head into that figure, a Roadblock head.
Economical. I have to say, I quite like the. I started googling them, and I was looking at the kind of the aesthetics of the card art, and it's zany. It's fun.
You should read some of their file cards, man. Oh man.
Oh really? I would never have done.
It's wild.
Does
it's pretty wild. Well, it is absolutely building its own mythology that came from nowhere and goes nowhere. Destro's building bases on the moon. Space Shot is a star freighter pilot, like a navigator on a star freighter. There's a Lunatics empire of aliens, like alien bounty hunters. There are Cobra Black Star agents that are navigating around like black holes and collapsing stars. Like,
do you think they had lofty ideas for this? Because
I think
he probably at 145 maybe didn't know that the end was just around the corner. Because I mean, they're in what, like 5 issues?
I think it did come as a shock. Because if you read the letters pages, the editor doesn't seem to let on that there's... Well, not that he would publicly, but just the way some of his responses are worded gives me the vibe that either he's the world's best liar or...
Yeah, I just wonder if this was the start of a new massive, 20-issue arc they had planned that involved things like Destro colonizing the moon and, I don't know, stuff like that. You never know. Because they have, I know they have a couple of covers, don't they?
I don't think they were ever in danger of including the Lunatics Empire in the book. Larry put a big no on Cobra Law. He never touched the Mega Marines and their sort of mega monsters. Mm-hmm. Though sometime in this book, we are going to see the Cyber Viper, which is a sort of cyborg leader for the Cobra Mega Marine baddies. But it feels like if it's a little bit too far out there, I mean, he was also the guy who quite quickly shot down Hasbro's idea that they should have some kind of teddy bear bad guys. And instead, he sold them on the idea of the Dreadnoks as sort of a baddie biker gang. So he doesn't like any kind of critters. Don't seem to fly with him.
Wouldn't you say that 1993 is probably a little bit late for space in terms of like jumping on the bandwagon of, everything goes to space. James Bond famously getting into space as a reaction to Star Wars and things like that. But that was all early 80s. I feel like the 90s was very much just chuck everything at the wall and see what sticks. It was a time for trying ideas. And
I think in 1991 or 92, it was the first year where there were more figures released in subsets than in the main figure selection. So absolutely, they were hedging on every play pattern, trying to monopolize.
Yeah.
And I was gobbling it up because I didn't want to shop outside of my scale. Sure, I had a few Turtles. I had a few Star Wars figs. I had a few like superhero figs. But what I really wanted was everything to play in the GI Joe scale, so I could incorporate all the superior vehicles that Joe had, all the accessories, like world building. That's where I wanted to play. So I was only too happy when GI Joe did Aliens with the Mega Marines, or they did Star Wars with Star Brigade, or they did Captain Planet with the Eco Warriors. Like all these play patterns were suddenly incorporated into my favorite toy line. So at least for this guy, it worked. Sadly, it didn't work for the vast majority of the toy buying public who would sooner buy Turtles, buy Captain Planet, buy Star Wars, I'm not
Captain Planet,
Boom.
he's a hero, drops radiation down to 0. That guy.
Gonna take pollution down to 0.
Right.
He's a powers magnified, and he's fighting on the planet side.
God, Emma blew my mind today. She's never heard of Mask. I was like, Mask Crusaders working
All right.
overtime all the
To the
time.
curb, Emma. Sign those
Yeah.
divorce papers. Lol.
Look at me drinking this champagne
Mooch.
and just
Very
reading Joe books. Doesn't get better. I had a whale of a time reading this. The vibrancy.
Did you have a
when I-
drink in hand when you thumbed the pages for the first time?
I didn't, but I was just taken aback by the boldness and the look at every page, dude. That's what the 90s looked like. Look at Mindbender.
Apparently they
Big.
smell like peat.
Yeah, fun book. This artist, how long was he on the book for? Basically, from now until the end, ish.
And I'm
There's
glad
some-
you like him. I know not everyone does, but we're going to get into it when we finish up the line. And you know how issue 21 has been redone with different artists on every page?
Hey,
Part of me wants
dude.
issue 155 to be redone with a different artist that maybe is a bit more in line with classic GI Joe artwork.
That would have been more sort of poetic, probably. Yeah.
Probably the art is distracting. You're dealing with the LRRP team. You're dealing
Also-
with very realistic military stuff. We're dealing with very poignant, like toing and froing, like a letter being written to Snake Eyes and a response from Snake Eyes. Like the weight of the word is somehow a little bit diminished, I think, by the very cartoony art style.
Sage words. But
Had
isn't
to say
the joy of this, the structure of this show is just so fun, like taking in sometimes different artists every week. You know, yeah, you're
Oh,
right.
yeah.
If you've
The
just
joy of it
done-
is to jump around, and even so, I mean, like I hope the listeners enjoy the randomness of it as well. I mean, they're not forewarned at all. At least I've had a week's warning, though it is a jubilant time when Ben shows me a screenshot of which book we're doing next, and it's like, whoa, I haven't read that in decades. Awesome.
Yes.
Let's go.
Because maybe if you've stuck with this guy for 6 issues, you might be, like, okay, I'm ready for something new. Whereas we get something new every week, kind of, sometimes.
Palette cleanser.
Yeah. The thing is, there's something to be, all the artists on this run offer something, and the beauty of it is how different they are, and they're, different takes on these great
Okay.
characters. But
So Phil's is what his cartoony style, his 90s bombast.
it was Chief told me that he was quite polarizing at the time,
Sure.
not particularly loved. I don't know who he took over from.
And
it was obviously quite-
perhaps.
It was obviously quite different and quite jarring.
Maybe there was someone in between, but like, I'm thinking Andrew Wildman.
Oh,
And who did? I wonder. There was someone who filled in on the Transformers run. It was only around
okay.
for that period. Anyway, I, famously not going to do my research for Chasing Joe. Just take me as I am, listener.
that was what I wanted to say. You mentioned issue 21, yeah?
Oh,
Just a minute ago. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was a press release, wasn't there, yesterday, of they're doing a new kind of like a new special missions. They're going to do one shots, silent issues. They're going to do like. Have you read it? Have you read this press release?
Is this from Skybound?
Yeah, Skybound. Yeah. They're
Wow,
going to
news
do.
to me.
I'm going to get it up. I am going to get
Dude,
it.
Enlighten us
Have a
all.
look.
I mean, there might be a cross section of listeners who don't currently read Skybound, so this is news to everyone. Hey, another book they want us to buy. Wow.
So
How
this
many
was
is
on the
that now?
16th. So today, Skybound and Image Comics, in collaboration with leading toy game company Hasbro announced 5 all-new G.I. Joe Real American Hero Silent Missions one-shots, each releasing on a Wednesday this April from a murderer's row of creative talent. In celebration of Silent Missions Month, Skybound will also be releasing a Silent Missions edition of the historic Silent Interlude, including a new letter from Larry Harmer. Interesting, you know?
Hey, man, there's not a Joe fan out there who isn't hot and heavy for special missions. Like that
hot
is...
and I am really hot and heavy and drunk
sweet spot
for special missions.
So if they do a series of special missions, but all of a sudden aren't wordy, it's all visual storytelling, that might be
You
the
could
greatest.
get a shipwreck. You could do.
Could be the greatest like moment for GI Joe storytelling in a long time.
You can't not have shipwreck talk. I mean,
Some of the coolest stories are the Joes sneaking around. Like there are moments in special missions
shipwreck's
where
not sneaky.
he's done his fair share of infiltrations.
Okay, fine.
But yes, you would probably need a wisecrack or something.
Exactly.
Maybe a couple of visual gags, something zany, some zingers. There are ways. Give Ben his shipwreck issue. Give me a shipwreck issue. Just give Christian from Audible Interlude.
I want you to write me a little novella of shipwreck. Let's just get some shipwreck content out there. Fantastic fig, beautiful, flares. It's got flares.
Bell bottoms, teacup.
Yeah, that's it.
Blunderbuss.
Yeah,
Parrot.
I had shipwreck, but he must have come to me in a trade because I didn't buy him. It was a playground trade of some
I'm in my
kind.
childhood room, Ben. Just chew the air for a few seconds.
Oh, I'll
about to
chew down on this.
Tantalize you.
This champagne, I could have done with a full bottle. So what we are looking at, listener, this is S-Jub's actual childhood bedroom. Is that a carded figure?
Yeah.
Are you joking? Not.
Isn't that the greatest thing you've ever seen?
And it's Action Force.
Action
That-
Force.
That must be worth a
Shipwreck.
pretty penny.
Well, it would be if it was sealed. This is very crudely resealed by my cousin. This is his childhood shipwreck. He
Wow.
put paper clips and reconnected he kept all the bubbles, right? All the bubbles.
Jeez. Yeah.
And this is how he stored his figures back on
Look
the
at the
card.
paperclip.
Yeah. That's the original paperclip.
That is joyous.
I mean, yeah, it's
Dude.
not in great condition, but like as just I'm not a carded figure collector, but to have the 1-2 punch of the figure with the artwork, Action Force, International Heroes, the file card, the cross cell, all the glorious furniture that an old G.I. Joe carded figure would have.
Yeah, I am highly jealous of that. That is a
Complete.
good
Got his
chunk
anchor,
of
he's
nostalgia there.
got his poly, he's got his percussion pistol, I think it is. Yeah, it's interesting. Like when you've got a carded figure, you can actually read the contents list, which is always a bit of a trip. Includes percussion pistol, boarding hooks, with line, and parrot.
And parrot. Yeah.
Or just comma, parrot. They're skimping on a conjunction there.
Wow. Well, on that bombshell of a carded shipwreck, I think that brings our episode to an end. I'm feeling quite bubbly, a little bit loose. Probably going to have a few more glasses of champagne.
I'm going to chase down some hooch. I'll probably have to settle for a lager. Boo. Oh, hey, there's still some whiskey. Yeah, if you are a listener to GI Joburg, you'll know that Rob and I got through a fair deal of a bottle of... I forget what
Just
it is.
quickly
It was a
before we
single
go,
malt.
did you have a successful shoot of your core film?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Fun?
We
Fun was
crushed
had.
it. Fun was had. It was fast and furious, man. We we shot for just over 3 hours, and we managed to
Wow.
put together a play motion in that amount of time, which is astounding. Rob and I then scripted it under the influence of the whiskey, so that'll be
Jeez.
fun. I just have to get
Yeah.
him in to lay down the voices, and we are ready to go for the 24th of January. That's when this mission goes down. So if you're listening to this,
Can't wait.
it'll be 1 day away.
Wow. Well, look, we're going to have to end because the internet is going funky and you're doing all kind of robot things on my screen. But look, guys, so glad you could join us on this caravan of courage. I'm not an Ewok, but I am feeling quite drunk. I'm BenFlyingRetro. You can follow me over on Instagram. You can check out my podcast, People Who Play, that I do with my good wife, Emma. And I guess you know where you can find this guy. Same place you're at right now.
Affirmative. Yo, Joe, everybody.
Okay.
Catch you next week.
Next week, where it's episode 20. That's somewhat of a
Oh my
milestone. I'll break out more champagne. Until then, yo, Joe!
Bye-bye now.